Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. My name is Margaret Ewing. I'm the Horace W. Goldsmith Assistant Curator of Modern and Contemporary Art here at the Yale University Art Gallery. In celebration of the acquisition and installation of Maren Hassinger's monument Pyramid in our sculpture garden last fall, I have the great pleasure of welcoming Maren Hassinger and Cole Palatini today for a conversation about this piece and its place in Maren's groundbreaking career.
Thank you.
Over the course of a 50-year career, Maren Hassinger has worked steadily in sculpture, installation, and performance, becoming one of the leading artists of our time. Born in Los Angeles, she received a BA in sculpture from Bennington College in 1969, followed by an MFA in fiber arts from UCLA in 1973. Following graduate school, Hassinger lived in Los Angeles for over a decade, where she collaborated with artists such as Senga Ngugi, David Hammons, and Ulysses Jenkins. In 1984, she moved to New York to become artist in residence at the Studio Museum in Harlem, and she's been on the East Coast ever since. In addition to her art practice, Hassinger has a long career as a teacher at institutions including the State University of New York at Stony Brook, Columbia University, and the Reinhardt School of Sculpture at the Maryland Institute College of Art, where she taught for 20 years and is director emeritus. Solo exhibitions of Hassinger's work have been organized at the Los Angeles County Museum of Art, where she had the first solo exhibition of an African-American artist there in 1981, at the Studio Museum in Harlem, and the Spelman College Museum of Fine Art. It was only in 2018, however, that Hassinger was offered gallery representation, following the inclusion of her work in the landmark exhibition, We Wanted a Revolution, Black Radical Women 1965 to 85 at the Brooklyn Museum. Hassinger's works are in the collections of numerous museums, including the Art Institute of Chicago, the Baltimore Museum of Art, Los Angeles County Museum of Art, the Guggenheim, the Hirshhorn, the Museum of Modern Art, the Nasher Sculpture Center, SF MoMA, the Walker, and the Whitney, among many others.
Wow. I didn't know that. Sounds good.
In 2023, Hassinger's archive was acquired by the Getty Research Institute as part of the African American Art History Initiative. And most recently, she's the 2024 Happy and Bob Doran Artist in Residence at the Yale University Art Gallery. I'm also very happy that we have Cole Palatini here with us today. Cole works closely with Maren as studio manager, supporting her practice and contributing to recent exhibitions at Susan Inglet Gallery in New York and at the Art Institute of Chicago. Cole is also an artist whose practice explores mapping and material transformations in the environment through drawing, sculpture, and site-based research. He received his BA from Vassar and is a 2024-2025 fellow at the Dia Arts Foundation. Cole's work has been featured in exhibitions at the Loeb Art Center in Poughkeepsie, the Albany Center Gallery, and the 8th Street Collective in Brooklyn. And Cole oversaw the week-long installation of Monument Pyramid here at the gallery in September. It's such a pleasure to have you both here. Please join me in welcoming Maren Hassinger and Cole Palatini.
Thank you. That was very nice, very nice. Thank you all. Thank you. Yeah. Well, here we are.
So I thought we might start with talking about Monument Pyramid, the reason for us coming here together today. So this is a recent acquisition in the Department of Modern and Contemporary Art, came into the collection last year. And in thinking about how to build our collection of contemporary sculpture, your work came to mind because it's such a fantastic example of form and materials coming together. And what I especially liked about this piece, which is very recent, just from 2022, is the way that you're working with form and materials and community participation and participatory element of its making, which we'll get into, in this very recent piece. And these are things that you've been working with your whole career. And so we have, I know, some people here who participated in building the monument pyramid, which is so wonderful. Is this better? Okay. Sorry. So Monument Pyramid, a recent acquisition here at the gallery that came into the collection just last year, and it brings together a lot of the questions, the themes that Marin has been working with for 50 years. What's particular about this piece, though, is it's part of a series that gets built in community. So when we acquired the piece, what we got was a set of instructions. And we had to build it. So we have some photos of the process. So this is a 10-foot tall pyramid. So hopefully most of you have seen it, but if not, you can go upstairs after the talk and see it. It's staying on view through the summer. It's built out of tree branches. And so we had to figure out how to get a whole lot of tree branches. So this is a photograph from the Quinnipiac Preserve in New Haven, across the river in Fairhaven, where we worked with the local organization Gather New Haven to collect 60 buckthorn trees from which we got our branches. And this was a collaboration both with Gather New Haven, between the art gallery and Gather New Haven, and with really incredible participation from art gallery staff, working with the staff and volunteers at Gather New Haven. So these are a couple of shots from that. And so,
It's also worth noting that it's the same material actually that configured the pyramid here in New Haven as it was in Milwaukee, which is an invasive buckthorn. So it's really an opportunity to have the material serve some broader purpose. It is really configured from the landscape.
yes.
Both installations.
Absolutely, and it was great for us to build a connection with Gather New Haven and to have a chance to make connections in the community as well.
Yeah, so it's like a social thing. It's
It
not
is.
just an isolated hierarchical art thing. Yeah, it's important.
I mean,
or at least I feel that's important.
well, of course.
Well, you know, some
Just one
people
of the
think-
great things about this project is how it brings people together.
Yeah.
And well, in a minute, we're going to see images of the students who worked on it. So these are our art handlers starting to build the metal armature that's underneath. And then we started building it. So we had piles and piles of these buckthorn branches. And we worked with students. So one of the exciting things about this piece, and another reason why it makes for a great acquisition, is we had the opportunity to bring students together in the making of it. So we worked with first year seminar students in the Six Pretty Good writing seminar series, so it's a series that, a course where students are exploring works outside of the canon. And that also seemed like a really nice fit for your work, Marin, which has, for a lot of your career, sort of been outside of the canon.
I guess so. I think I know so because, well, I went to a lot of galleries trying to get an interest in my work, and there was always something wrong with it. Like, oh, it's too big, it's too little, it's too bright, it's too rough, it's too, you know. And, but I didn't stop because I didn't feel there was anything to stop for. And so it ends up like this, so that many people can work on something and enjoy themselves in the fresh air and building. I'm sorry it's so large that it actually, creates problems. But sometimes when you work beyond your physicality and you're working with groups of people, it takes you out of yourself, and so you learn stuff. And I hope that I hope it helps people learn how they might want to make things. Yeah.
Gives you an opportunity to surprise yourself with what you're able to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
I remember on this first day, like the armature being blank was such an overwhelming visual kind of thing happening. Like no one understood clearly how it would come together. And then you just start, and it starts to take shape, and more accumulates.
And actually, the first time I made that piece, in an experimental kind of way, I don't think I made it the way you did. So you invented something right there.
Well, we followed Cole's instructions.
Okay.
Cole was here leading us.
Cole is my assistant, and he's been with me for several years, and he's so I think that the piece outside looks terrific. I mean, it's the best job possible. It looks fantastic. And I hope people enjoy it, and I hope they enjoyed making it. And the one thing about it is that it's not just the scale, but it's the commonality of it. Like, everybody knows what it is. And everybody wanted to participate to help making something that was larger than themselves, that could be shared and understood without a lot of, oh, this means this, and that means that, and that's over here, and that's over there. And then, on top of everything else, they chose a scale to make it a complete thing that is neither overpowering or off-putting, but it's something you want to embrace and look at and keep looking at. And that's really quite amazing. I think that's really quite amazing.
Well, the element of bringing everybody together, bringing this group of people together, this is like the third week of the semester, I think, and these were first-year students, so they've basically just arrived. They haven't really started to get to know each other very much, and it was great to observe their conversations, their getting to know each other, their lightening up together. Friendships definitely formed over the making of this piece, and I think that's a thread that runs through a lot of your work, this idea of bringing people together, right?
And I noticed, can you move it backward? So the man in the green hat is also an assistant of mine and a friend, and his name is Josh Leff, and I must congratulate him on how he and his co-workers did such a fantastic job. They really did. And they stuck it through.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you can start this stuff and you go, oh my God, I can't tie another thing, I can't break another brand, I just can't, goodbye. But it seems that everybody hung in there.
Yes, and of course, we expected that you would be here to build it with us.
Oh, no.
And then you were sick that week. So
Yeah, but he took
yes,
charge.
Josh
right?
and Cole absolutely were here the whole week and worked tirelessly.
Right. Which is just, if you're going to be serious about working, you have to be serious about who you're working with. It's a really important thing to know.
I wanted to share this picture from the exhibition that you did at in Marcus Garvey Park in Harlem, which was organized by the Studio Museum. And this is in 2018, and this is when you first started making these monuments. So our piece is from 4 years later, but in the same series. as these monuments.
And it looks like there's been a lot of improvement. Everything is more pronounced now, thanks to all you. And more like something you really want to stop and ponder. These look like I hadn't quite gotten it yet, you know? I was just kind of thinking through it, yeah.
I think these were responding to different parts of the landscape in the park in really sort of subtle, poetic, beautiful ways. The piece that we have originated here in Milwaukee, so just a radically different context from the park in Harlem, and so I think it's interesting how you chose this form based on thinking about this context. So this is Sculpture Milwaukee in 2022, and Maren, you were invited to make a piece there, and you called it Monument Pyramid. I think we've talked a bit about sort of why you thought of a pyramid for this context.
Well, ancient Egypt, I mean, what's better? And yeah, ancient Egypt.
I remember when we started talking about devising this project, we had looked at photographs of this site, and one of the really important details was this tall glass building that was erected in downtown Milwaukee feels really dramatic and completely out of place. In some ways, in a lot of ways it feels in line with the surroundings, but it felt like what you're saying, this pyramid is an opportunity to provide really basic architecture at a scale that people can relate to directly and also get involved with.
And learn.
Contribute to the architectural landscape that is making up downtown Milwaukee. It doesn't have to be all glass skyscrapers. It can be collaborative, actually.
Really good point. It can be simple, simple, simple.
And it's temporary too. These pieces are temporary, and they're not meant to sort of fall apart, but they're meant to be there for a while and then not be there. And it's interesting. I don't know. What do you think about a monument that doesn't stick around forever?
Well, this would last longer than how long I let it last, and the same thing goes for here. I think, I don't think a monument has to necessarily last forever. It has to have an impact for the people who are working on it and with it and see it every day, I mean, you know that just from, general life, right? It doesn't have to be the biggest and the baddest to be the best.
Yeah, it's really the experience, the participation in making it, and then the memories maybe of having worked on it.
Right. But also, it has a visual and physical aspect, which most people aren't in their front yard making something that large, or even alone in their art studio making something that large. And very rarely do a bunch of people work together towards an end that they can actually see the end in sight. And my experience, like working here, it's like everybody really enjoyed themselves. It was kind of like going back to childhood, and you're playing building blocks or something, but it was bigger, it was taller, and had more volume and all, and lasted longer. And basically, I think a lot of people are frustrated. We don't have enough outdoor activity. We don't have enough exercise. We don't have enough creative thought. We're a mess. So this is an opportunity to do that. And everybody has creative thought. It's just that so much is on us these days that doesn't allow it to come through and doesn't give us time. We have to feed our families, keep our house, rent or mortgage going. you know, there's just so many things that don't allow us to be the creative people that we really are. I actually, you know, I don't know how to, you know, eradicate that problem, except to say, try creative activity for yourself. It might just be singing in the shower, but try something creative every day, something that you imagine, something that you could complete, something that you can see in your mind's eye. And then if you get really, really adventurous, you can tell somebody else about it and see how they feel about it. And after you have a couple friends, then maybe you can do it. You know? This working with sticks, found sticks, and you know, a little bit of steel was very gratifying for myself as well as the people who were there working.
I think we have some images of earlier. Oh, well, no, in a second.
Well, that's earlier.
So this is a couple of the pieces in the series that are at Longhouse Reserve in East Hampton.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have some images going way back.
Yeah.
And
Do
so
you recognize that person?
it's so incredible to me to see how you're working with, you know, material. This isn't a tree branch here, but we'll get to that in a second. But it's tree-like forms that, you know, you've been working with these shapes and these types of materials for a long, long time. You give us such an example of leading a creative life, being a creative person over time. I think people would be interested to hear a little bit about how that started, and how it didn't go sort of as smoothly as you thought it might at the beginning. Mm-hmm. So starting at Bennington College, and when you went thinking you wanting to study dance, and then what happened?
No, absolutely not. I wasn't technically proficient, although I'd been taking dance class in Los Angeles from Lester Horton Technique. I don't know how many of you know about dance, but Lester Horton was a major person in the modern dance world. And he had a company, and I was taking from people in his company. He had already passed away, but I was taking from them, and, you know, they encouraged me, and I thought I was doing okay, you know, until I got to Bennington College. And it was absolutely not. You're better in art, aren't you?
And so you ended up being a sculpture major.
Yeah.
And then you decided you wanted to get an MFA so that you could teach.
Right.
And so you applied to UCLA in sculpture.
Yes. I'm not sure what I did at that point.
Well, I think you wanted to do sculpture, and you got a no from them as well.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well. And that was sexist as well. Horror of horrors. Yeah. That was bad.
But somehow you found your way into fiber structure.
Right. I found my way. Somehow. Yeah.
So you were invited to be in the fiber, this new fiber program, fiber
Yeah,
arts
so
program.
like the guys didn't want me in sculpture, you know, welding and, you know, banging things with stone hammers, you know. They didn't want me. But Bernard Kester, you know, welcomed me. And so we worked together for, I think, about 3 years. And during the time I was working with him, he was actually a weaver and an off-loom fiber technique person. And he accepted me in his class as a weaver, you know, which I hadn't ever woven anything. Either, you know, on some little tiny loom or on a, you know, big one with your feet going. But I would, he said, okay, fine, let's do it, And there were several people in the class, most of them women. And he just gave of himself, and I went to various junkyards, and I found wire rope, and then I found a company that sold it in bulk, and coiled around big drums. And Bernard encouraged me the whole time. He was wonderful, just wonderful. And we laughed a lot, too. So then I started making these. And they, like the one in the foreground that looks like a square, it's several lengths of wire rope joined with a weaving technique, which, my teacher, Bernard, was teaching weaving. And I ended up in weaving, but she was very open about it. Take any kind of material you want, and, I'm here for you. And so I went and I found wire rope in a junkyard, and then I started paying actual money for it, and it started being this. And it's evolved ever since. And it's, teachers are really, really important. They're like your parents, They can give you the encouragement you need just when you need it, and then give you time to yourself so you can discover what it is you're trying to do. And then being willing to come back and have a conversation with you about it. So I count myself as being very fortunate, actually. Some people start with an art major and they go on and they get their degree and they never do it again. And for me, it turned out to be the central thing in my life, aside from friends, assistants, and children.
This is a really incredible image that brings up a lot of questions, but it, for one, shows that dance continued to be a part of your work.
Mm-hmm. I took classes.
And you were part of a community of artists in Los Angeles in the early 70s who were experimenting together.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Sangan Ngudi, Ulysses Jenkins. Mm-hmm. Those are my friends.
And this is, can you tell us about this space?
Well, there was a tree that had fallen in close by in the neighborhood, and I brought it in because I just thought it was magnificent. And it's standing up on what was left of itself. These three, there's two in the back and one in the front. And then I just looked at it for a long time, and there was another part of it that wasn't ever attached, but the thing that's like a Y, upside down Y in the background. And I fiddled around with that, and I fiddled around with my wire rope, which happened because I was in this fiber structure class, because I couldn't be in the regular sculpture class. And in the fiber structure class, I discovered wire rope, which is something I could weld and I could cut with, heat or, special equipment. And so I just used all the new things that I'd found mixed in with the dance classes I had taken, and this dead tree. And then I decided to dance with the tree. So seems like things were pretty good.
I mean, you stated so matter of fact.
Like not everybody dances with a tree, I know, but it was fun.
I think it's the simplicity of the work that makes it such a unique key to access the things you were thinking about. And it's actually surprising often for people to notice that there's wire rope even in this piece. I mean, if you look at the far right-hand side, there's a whole woven component, and it somehow gets mixed up in that tree, and it becomes very visually integrated with the structure of those branches. And it's about fiber structure,
and then there's this parallel drawn to nature,
Mm-hmm.
and then you're engaging with that connection through this process of movement,
Mm-hmm.
which is like this harmony and mixing of all of these
Mm-hmm.
different influences that came from different spaces: Los Angeles, Bennington,
Mm-hmm.
fiber, nature.
Mm-hmm.
It's all present here.
Mm-hmm. And it works. And thank you so much for that. Sometimes I make things and I don't know whether they're good or bad. They're just made. And that goes for the piece that you just saw. I probably got the most joy out of dancing with it. Much more joy out of dancing with it than making it and dragging it into my studio. Next slide. And this one, we're also in the same place. You can recognize the floor. And so this is like a really, really, really simple idea. It's like a wreath, or it's a circle. And I went out searching for branches, and I found this place that had lots of branches. And I think I also, at that time, would find tree crews who wanted to get rid of branches, and I'd follow them around and get their branches after they cut them off the trees they were trimming. And so with this, I combined a very simple twig and branch circle, or wreath, because the middle is empty, with wire rope that was in the studio. And it was quite large, actually. And this was, I had there was some kind of grant for decorating the sides of freeways. Yeah, it's kind of silly, but so I was able to apply for that and get to do this, which there's a freeway in Los Angeles called the San Diego Freeway, and it runs north and south, and as it's going through the Hollywood Hills and it's moving more and more north into the valley, it kind of comes up an incline and then kind of levels off a bit and then falls away. And I'm saying all this because I believe at like the crest of this roadway, I put these pieces. And I had been in Bernard Kester's class now for maybe over a year. I'd been experimenting with wire rope. He was so excited about the fact that I could do things with the wire rope which were very much like literal weaving. And so in this case, instead of actually weaving, I unwound, as if you might have seen a piece of rope and the rope started to fray, and then just because you were bored, you started unwrapping the rope from around its core. Well, that's all I did with this, except that it's steel, so it didn't give way, it didn't fall apart, and at one point, by putting a clamp around it, it stopped unwinding. And then I took these pieces and I dug holes in the ground up at this, kind of the epitome of the rise to go into the valley. And I just kind of staked it out as a landmark, and with all of these in a row. And I don't even know if it's there anymore. I mean, I haven't been in Los Angeles and gone around for a long time, so I have no idea. But it really made me feel like an artist, because I increased the scale, I put it in the landscape, I made it visible to people, and I felt like I was making something enduring.
Was there something here about sort of nature, the relationship to nature when you live in Los Angeles, big city?
Well, these are trees, but they're wire rope, and it's called 12 Trees. Number 2, I don't know what number 1 was. I have no idea. Maybe they were miniatures. But I think it's a kind of sad thing. Like, if you look at that ground, it's all dried out. There's a little bit of greenery there. The hills across the way are mostly dirt. I think I was saying something about, there's more to everything than this land and these cars on this ground. There's steel trees. But the steel trees really fit in with that definition of, cars on roadways speeding by and dead grass on hillsides and,
These are bushes?
Homemade. Everything's homemade. So on dangerous ground, and it had an armature under it of expanded metal, which is just metal in sheets that has kind of triangular holes in it. And so I forgotten who helped me weld the underpinnings. But anyhow, they were welded like around like this, and then they were shaped like that, and then they had a flat bottom, which was a piece of like 1/4-inch steel cut in a circle, and they were shaped like that. And so then, because they had these holes in them, which weren't this big but were this shape, I could stick pieces of wire rope in it and it wouldn't come out. So I basically stuffed wire rope into this armature. And I found out I could do that with a standing situation, but I could also use the same kind of metal material as a half round, clinging to the wall. And then I could stuff things on it as it was on the wall. So that's what the wall ones are about. The ones in the middle are got something that's like a funnel shape that's holding all the wires together. It's, and then I called it On Dangerous Ground, because by the time I finished stuffing things and, it looked pretty bizarre. It was like crazy bushes. It's like bushes gone wild. So, yeah, and that's why On Dangerous Ground.
Are these related to the pieces that are at the Aldrich Museum right now?
The pieces at the Aldrich Museum are also 2 bushes, but they came from a series that was made after, so they're not from the original On Dangerous Ground series. But there are 2 outdoor bushes, which is different from these, which are placed indoors. Those are planted right in the ground and resonate with the bushes around them and the grass and the trees. But this is an indoor gallery, and it's kind of a different presentation. It's not meant to resonate with nature. It's meant to be electric and cast shadows all over the room and give the sense that there's danger. There's danger afoot. This was the first solo show awarded to a Black artist at LACMA in 1981. That was dangerous ground for Marin at the time, and for other artists at the time.
I'd forgotten about that. Thank you.
I think it's an important detail.
It is.
But when you look at the bushes at the Aldrich or 12 trees along the highway, there's a direct contact to nature and a resonance. And there's this experience where it feels almost like they disappear, which is bizarre because when you take them out of that context, they're so demanding of your attention. And it's that subtle shift between nature and industrial nature that is quite beautiful.
I think I've really been trying to make landscapes for a long time. Oh, where is it? What did I do with it?
I've got it here. This is another.
Speaking of,
Were you looking for this?
Yeah, I guess.
This is another piece that you've made about the landscape, about nature.
Oh, pink trash.
And this is in Los Angeles as well, originally?
Yeah.
This was in, I believe, Central Park.
Oh, this is Central
Oh, this is when I was still living here? Or I was a guest. I don't know, I can't remember what the situation was. I was asked to come here and do something in Central Park, and this is what I did. Whew, I wonder if they went for that. How
So
did they like it?
Well, they asked me back at the Prospect Park.
Oh, okay.
Must have gone well.
Okay. See? Don't stop yourself.
So here you had collected a bunch of trash in Central Park and then taken it away and gotten other pieces of, well, I don't know, I don't think it was trash originally.
No, it was trash. I mean, a lot of it was trash. Like, you see that can that's kind of in the middle? That's like an old soda can or a beer can or something, painted pink. And there's a lot of that in there. Maybe you can't see it, but a lot of it was something else. And then I did also get like half a ream of paper or something, just in case I didn't have enough to fill up the space. Yeah.
And what were you thinking about with this piece?
I was thinking about the inappropriateness of trash in the environment, and so I thought, okay, so I'll use, contrasting colors. So it was like an art decision to use pink, and then I don't know. I was thinking about doing outdoor pieces. I didn't want to weld something, so that. And I also liked to move a lot because of dance classes and stuff, and so I had this bag, which was pink, filled with pink things. And this is just me stooping down to maybe tear something or shred something. But I was walking around the whole time, dropping things. So it was physical, Yeah.
The documentation of these early works is so important too. And I mean, I don't know if you had really an audience
Oh, I didn't have enough.
for this piece.
Oh, Adam Avila, my beloved photographer. And just brilliant.
Who took many of these
Brilliant.
historical photographs that we've been looking at.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important that you were thinking at the time about documenting these pieces. I mean, they were temporary, ephemeral. You and your friends in Los Angeles were making these things for each other, right? Like you weren't making it necessarily for a big audience, or you were making things like in freeway underpasses, right? Or there was the one piece with Senga and I think David Hammonds as well.
Freeway fence.
What's that?
It was freeway fence.
Freeway fence.
FETS, F-E-T-E-S.
FETS.
Yeah.
And just sort of a different era, right? A different time where you're not sort of aware of an art community, or it's not a performance necessarily for a public, but just working for yourselves.
And maybe those times are over. I don't know how many people in the audience are artists who just go out and do things on their own, for their own, so they can see them. There are lots of artists who do that, so they need to see it. Right. It's important. You got to see what you're thinking. And you can't just think or, see it in your mind's eye. You have to see it out there, physical, as it's physical. Yeah.
Just have a couple more images, I think. But this is one that you did indoors with branches. And you were saying earlier that it was sort of this simple idea to bring the branches inside and make this sort of canopy.
I mean, okay, so room has maybe 4 sides. Maybe this room has more because of, But, okay, so what are you going to do in a room? So you could put something on the floor. You could put something on one wall. Maybe you could put something on 2 walls. Maybe the 2 walls could connect in some kind of way. Oh, you could put something on the ceiling. And, what better thing to put on the ceiling than branches, which are often in trees, and you're looking up at them. So it was a way of bringing the outdoors indoors. Yeah. And therefore, joining the world.
There's a kind of
Yeah.
purity to that in this material being suspended and creating its own ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
And as a viewer of the work, that purity is quite astonishing, that simplicity.
Mm-hmm.
As someone who works for you,
Mm-hmm.
when this piece was recreated for an exhibition at the Nasher, it was represented
Mm-hmm.
for Groundswell, Women in Land Art.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about it in the studio. How is this work even made? And I think you stated it just kind of like that. You put each branch up. What do you mean?
Right.
But my question being like, how? And the actual physical manipulation being so astonishingly simple is what makes the work so incredibly complicated. The fact that these pieces are all woven together precisely so that they can be hung in this really planed way, and not just all swinging around. Like it really is one object.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to achieve that level of clarity with your material, and intention with how you're manipulating it
Mm-hmm.
to achieve your goal.
Mm-hmm. Intention.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And also with that one with the branches overhead, maybe it's just a longing for nature in a bigger, broader way than I had been able to experience it outdoors in the city.
Maybe we'll just say a couple of words about this piece and then see if there might be some questions in the audience. But this is one of a series of works you've done with Twisted Newspaper, which is another way that you've engaged with groups of people, bringing groups of people together. Can you tell us about?
Well, the
About
one
these
on the
pieces?
left with the four women, we basically just shredded newspapers, lots of newspapers, and then twisted them and twisted them and twisted them. And then we would put the twisted lengths, I should say, we would have a piece of newspaper, double-sided, tear it in half, and then tear it each half into like quarters or fifths or something, and then lay it on our lap, then twist each little length, and then knot each length to one another, square knot. There's one person here who doesn't tie a square knot. It makes a big difference because it stops the flow. Her square knot is like this. It's making a situation like this happen instead of this. So anyway, we ignored that because, we were busy. But I'm seeing it now, right? Okay, so we did all this wrapping. And then we just most of the time, we just ended with a big ball, after we did it. And then we started binding and it just became a big ball. Now, this one on the left that says self-portrait, I guess, that's a joke. But it's more vertical than it is wide. So in that way, it's like a human being. And it's just many of these twists just hanging. And that's the volume of me, I guess, at this point. So by self-portrait, I'm becoming the materials that I've been using. And that's what I think that's about.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all of these images with us and talking us through. I'd love to open it up and see if there might be some questions.
Oh,
in the
okay. I hope there
audience.
are questions because a lot of times, people are a bit shy. I'm not going to embarrass you. Shy, forget it. The thing is that in this country, it's not particularly encouraged to be a creative individual. I hate to say that, but I think I'm right. everybody thought I was crazy because I was an art major, just crazy. But it's what I wanted to do, and I was better at it than math, for example. So, you know, why shouldn't I do what I'm better at? And that seems logical. So, questions?
And please wait for the microphone, which can come around.
Mm-hmm. So we have a mic coming right here.
Thank you so much for connecting people with art,
Oh,
and especially the natural things that you've used. I really appreciate that in a very new way. Now, I'm not an artist, but I'm married to a wonderful artist sitting right here beside me.
oh, you're lucky.
Yes. And she does it in her part-time. Anyway, I just wanted to share an experience with you, which was a very frightening one for me in a way. On my second visit to Muir Woods, I think we were together, about 10 years ago, we were walking on a very busy weekend with thousands of other people through this beautiful, beautiful, rich, ancient landscape. And almost everybody was on their cell phone. They didn't know where they were. And it just struck me that so much of our culture today doesn't know where it is. And like you say, that's too bad. And I think part of it is because the arts are not as emphasized in this country as they could be.
Thank you so much for your comments. When I was in college and, you know, high school, people in high school particularly, people would pick on me because I wasn't taking, you know, math or science or, you know, but I was pursuing my interests, which have always been in the arts. And, you know, there was dance class, there was a musical class, there was a visual arts class. I was always really interested in those things. And I excelled at them. I wasn't the greatest math student or science student. I took those courses, I did not fail them, but I was happiest doing this. And I think we have to stop thinking that everybody has to be a math science major. It's just not possible. And there are other things in the world to love, associate with, try, experiment with, quander. I just think everybody is good at something, and it's not the same thing, and that's it. And I will reveal that my dad was an architect, but I actually didn't know all that much about his practice. But I do think there was something genetic, because I went right towards sculpture. So that was a great question. Thank you very much.
Another question?
Hi, thank you so much. It's really nice to hear you talk about your work. And I have just a little question about the ceiling of branches.
Oh,
So-
blanket of branches.
Yeah, blanket, really nice. My question is, did you actually gather all those sticks yourself?
I think I did, but I also, I think I might have called a tree cutting crew or something like that, and then found out where they were going to be for the day, and then picked up some that day, and then called back another day and got some more, and you know, I did like that.
So
Yeah.
when you knew you wanted to make this piece, did you then go out and find a space to make it in, or did you have the space first?
You know, these are excellent questions. but I don't know the answer to them.
Uh-huh.
Now, that looks like I was in an art show, and I used the gallery space to do that,
Yeah, I'm wondering because it's so beautifully.
painted.
Well, no, it just it's like the most beautiful use of that space. Like you really considered the space in the making. So I was just wondering, chicken or egg on that one, and
Well, if it wasn't like in a commercial art gallery, it may have been in an educational institution.
would that be
Like, like a gallery that is in a college or university and
Yeah.
it shows artwork.
Yeah.
And they asked me to come and do an artwork, and
Yeah.
I did an installation.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So when you said you went and got a degree to teach, did you spend
Yeah, I
time
mean,
teaching?
I did teach.
You did teach? Where did you teach?
College?
All over?
No.
Started at Stony Brook in Long Island, and then went to MICA in Baltimore, where Marin served as the director of the sculpture program for a number of years. And after that, made her way back to New York, where she taught at Columbia.
Yeah, it's a very beautiful piece.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for your questions. They were very searching. Great, I'm glad. Well, you can make it.
I wanted to just talk about I'm over here.
Oh, where?
Right here.
Oh, you know what? The light is really bright right here.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I was wondering, can you turn that light down?
I can just move over.
Okay.
Let me do that.
Don't you find that light bright?
I just wanted to talk about the level of ingenuity in your work, because you talk about the simplicity of it, but I wanted to talk about the balance that you have between the finding the objects and the spontaneity of it, but there's also a side of planned and engineering. Can you talk about how complex the things that you do are? Because I find just like that in itself, with the combined of the spontaneity of finding the branches, but and you talked about your father being an architect, and you talked about math a little bit, but the works are really, really complex because you make the simple look simple.
Well, thank you. I mean, I have to bow down to you because I don't consider myself, I guess I consider myself an intellectual, but I don't consider myself real smart, And especially when it comes to making things. It's totally like, what can I say? Intuition. Responsive intuition, yeah. But thank you for everything you said. It was just so lovely. I need to, give me that. I need to write that down. Thank you very much. Does that answer your question?
No, absolutely.
It didn't answer the question?
No, it did.
Oh, it did, okay. Okay, good.
Maybe 2 more questions.
Do I go? Okay, sorry. I'm just wondering, in your early practice, or just in your practice in general, did you ever find that things like collecting branches and unraveling wire rope were hard on your body? And then, how did you have any kind of body maintenance practice for, I don't know, I've made work also collecting branches and found that I got back problems. So, but then secondarily, I guess once you expand your practice to include other people helping you, and you're asking other people to do things that are then hard on their bodies in the way that you took on yourself, how?
Who are those people?
I know you have people helping with your work. I don't know. I just wondering how you would navigate expanding a practice that was difficult for yourself to other people. What do you ask of them, and how do you expand that? Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, I see what you're asking. You're asking, you have an idea to do something really large and maybe bulky and weighty, and How do you make that?
But also, like, when you're willing to do something yourself that is hard on your body, but then you want to do it at a larger scale, and other people, like, you don't want them to necessarily go through that kind of suffering. Like, what do you ask of them?
But this is typical in sculpture classes, that you will help one another. You know? And the other thing is, sometimes if you're looking for scale, you know, like something really big, well, what about using a huge piece of cloth? There are things that don't weigh a lot that take up a lot of space, you know? I mean, this is a very legitimate question, because you should not hurt yourself making work. That is not what you're supposed to be doing. You know, some people do it. They get so crazy and they feel like they're super men and women, and they can, you know, just lift it and throw it and, you know. It's not, no. It's art. It's art. It's not, you know, laying concrete or something. It's art.
Your question makes me think about collaboration and resistance. Because in Marion's studio, we work with steel, wire rope, branches, these things that can be quite heavy and cumbersome. And the amazing thing about working with wire rope is that it's a material that is extremely stubborn. You can be fighting against it, and you can hurt yourself. But when you find that moment of moving it in the way that it's meant to, you'll find that it's actually very easy. Things will twist and come apart as if they want to. And I think it's less so about pushing through any pain you're experiencing. Marion's the first one to tell me to put a mask on. And it's like, there's no sense to hurt yourself, but it's more about figuring out how to manipulate things in a way that you're working with that thing, not against that thing.
Right, with it.
I think we should take one last question.
Hi. I'm over here in the back, all the way in the back.
I'm sorry.
Under the light.
Oh, you know what? Could you please step forward? I'm looking right into light. I can't even see you. Okay.
Better?
That's good.
Okay. So thank you for everything you've shared. I have two questions. One is just really simple. Do you have a favorite type of tree or brush to work with? And the second is, can you speak more about the importance of and the role of experimentation in producing your work?
Well, the first question was about,
Just favorite, like if you're doing all this work with different types of trees and branches, and if you have, if you've kind of latched on to a favorite, the alder branches are the more flexible ones or something. I don't know.
No.
Yeah, no. So that was
and I
just.
most of the time don't know the names of them.
Oh, okay.
It's just all visual and physical.
And then the second question is more to your process, and you've mentioned that it's intuitive, and I relate to that as well in my own work. But how much do you find that you're experimenting, and then through the intuitive process, like how much of that is like, oh, let's try this. Nope. Oh, what about that? Like, are there a lot of iterations, or do you feel like it just kind of comes together?
I feel like I see things before I make them. But they may not come out the way I'm seeing them, which means, then I got to go somewhere else. I go to another. I go, well, I could like this, I don't think. This is a really important question you're asking, and it goes for anybody in this room who does creative activity. It's like, how do you let yourself be creative?
Yeah.
And in my case, a lot of times I can get myself together and get going if I know I have a show.
Which leads me to the last question I wanted to ask you, the two of you. What is upcoming for you, Marin?
I don't.
Or Cole?
So right now, we're preparing for an upcoming solo presentation of Marin's work at her gallery, which represents her in Chelsea. The Susan Inglet Gallery opens in March. We're preparing.
Please come, all of you.
We're preparing for a two-person exhibition at IVAM, which is the Institute of Modern Art in Valencia, Spain, which will display works by both Marin Hassinger and her longtime friend and collaborator Senga Nengudi. In July, the Columbus Museum in Ohio is opening another show actually featuring Marin and Senga, which was curated by Ali Tepper at Reed College. This will be a much more expansive hang of that exhibition, and they're producing a catalog. Marin's work is on view in New York at the Metropolitan Museum, flying into Egypt, at the Museum of Modern Art, Artists in the Body, and the Whitney, Edges of Ailey, currently. And if you can't make it to New York, at the Aldrich here in Connecticut, there are a series of works included in a garden of promise and dissent, all outdoors, just like the piece here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Isn't he great? Thank you.
Thank you so much for being with us this evening. The gallery stays open until 8 this evening. You can go up and see the monument pyramid from the second floor Asian galleries. And it stays on view through the summer, so we hope you'll be back. Thank you very much.
And thank you very much for being such a lovely audience. You were all so very attentive and asked lovely, wonderful, fantastic, sometimes unanswerable questions, which is perfect.